The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, or Spaced Out Radio Limited is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Sky with 6316, 8.8 for 6,000.
Got 6316, North Road, still maintain 3,000, I'm 1 for the right.
3,000, Sky with 6316.
Redwood 811, still maintain 4,000.
I'm Elizabeth England. No, actually, I'm not. Elizabeth is under the weather, so unfortunately, you're stuck with me for 3 long hours. It is I, James Tyson, and I am broadcasting to you from my little log cabin on the 13th floor of the Spaced Out Radio Network here in the paranormal portals of the lower left Canadian coast here in Cascadia. Yes, the Pacific Northwest, or I should call it the wet coast, really. It's a tad dampish still here. But I did get out on the bike on Sunday for a few hours of wind therapy, and it was so lovely. For those of you who are hanging out on our website at spacedoutradio.com and listening via the front page there, you just click on that little listen live and jump into that chat room. Welcome. And I also welcome everybody else, our friends down at WQEE 99 Rock the Key in Noonan, Georgia. I'd like to thank everybody listening on the Radio Guide FM, TalkStream Live on Stitcher, iTunes, Renegade Talk Radio, the High Plains the High Plains Talk Radio Network, the United Public Radio Network out of New Orleans, on Spreaker, and whatever crystal set you have going. Tonight, like I say, Elizabeth, who had a debate planned with the past to step down President Obama and the now President Trump. Unfortunately, Elizabeth got sick and had to postpone that entire thing. In fact, it was canceled. Yeah, that's it. We're probably not going to have it up at all. So we're going to get stuck in with some little bit more paranormal kind of thing. Now, my guest tonight is a kind of a special psychic. She's special. No, not that way. Come on, guys. You know what I mean. It's Viviana Duncan, and she's going to be joining us. She couldn't make it in this first hour. She'll be jumping in around in the half-hour mark. She is a psychic medium, clairvoyant, light and energy worker, medical intuitive. She does everything. She's been doing this for 25 plus years, and it goes back in her family. So I want to dig a little bit further and find out exactly what she thinks how these things start. What is it that actually makes somebody one of these fabulous psychic mediums? And we're going to dig into a little bit of that. And who knows, we might even open the phone lines in the last hour. But we'll see. We'll see how she's feeling. She's out of California, so it's not too bad. She's on the same time zone as I am. Unfortunately, a lot of you aren't. But in the first half hour, I would like to kind of catch you up on some very cool stuff. And you if you follow the show, you know Skeeter Wellhouse. She comes on the Two Mediums and a Large, as well as the Shift, which will be on tomorrow night. She has been doing remote viewing for our group, the Canadian Paranormal, and it's been quite fascinating. The first time she did this was a few weeks back when we had a client who said there was something very dark in their house. It was a guy who would stand over their bed, kicking the bed, and actually infiltrating their dreams. Very, very dark energy. And they try to push it off as being something that maybe they could deal with, but they had two small children, and the children started coming to them saying there was a man in their room, and he was standing there, and he was staring at them, and he was very, very mean. And the kids, as well as the father, are sensitive to that kind of thing. So I thought, okay, we'll head down there and see what's up. But before, I thought I'd hit Skeeter up, because she talked about this remote viewing thing. And she did a remote viewing of some Yahoo spirits that were hanging around my house, and we moved them on. So we gave Skeeter the information, and I was on Skype with her, and I would ask the questions, and she, probably have to get her to explain how she actually does this or what she's experiencing. But she basically it's like sending her spirit, like astro traveling, but her spirit goes in and she can see them and communicate with them, and they can see her, which is a little awkward for them sometimes. So she goes into this place, and we first encounter a lady who's in her 80s. She's wearing a kind of a 1970s leisure suit, and we start chatting with her, and she's a grandmother who hadn't crossed over, not related to the family that's there right now, and just hanging out because she liked the kids. Okay, fair enough. And I asked Skeeter, and through Skeeter, I said, well, can you introduce us to your, the guy who's a bit of a dark fellow, like this bad energy? And she said, or Skeeter said, well, you don't have to. He just came down the stairs. And we start communicating with this guy, and we determine through a kind of a odd interview that went on with him for about 25 minutes, that he was connected to the house because the kids about 30 years ago were, and not obviously the kids or the people who are living there now, but they were playing with a Ouija board, and they had found this wallet at a yard sale or something and wanted to know who it belonged to, and they called the owner of the wallet in. And this was the nasty guy, and scared the heck out of the kids. So the kids went up in the attic, little hatch in their bedroom closet, stuck the wallet up, and it kind of fell down between the walls. And that was it. And so jump forward 30 years, got this family in there, and this guy is still coming back and forth out of the closet, which is now half is on the kid side, and half is on the parent side. So there's going back and forth. And Skeeter didn't know this, but the client had said, yeah, there's something in the closet, it's always making noise, and then this big shadow comes out. So we determined that it's him. He's connected to the wallet. He was called to that house, and he's actually from a prison that wasn't too far away. He died in 1941 in the prison. I asked, he said he had passed away in prison, and I asked Skeeter to ask him what the prison started with, what letter, and she said, he's saying O or oak. And I said, yeah, well, it's within 10 miles, probably 6 or 7 of the house, there's a prison called Ocala. And it was closed down, I think, in the late 80s. But that's where he had died. And he had gone there for ripping off somebody in not ripping off. They were offloading a bunch of liquor off some trucks, putting them on railway cars to send down to the U.S. during Prohibition. And one of the guys in his crew was going to turn him over and get him busted. He found out about this, challenged the guy who set him up. There was a fight. Our bad guy stabbed the other bad guy, killed him, and was later arrested for manslaughter and ended up going to prison for life, literally. And we got his first name is Henry, second name is Joseph. Eventually, we start talking to him about crossing over, and this is how we got into his bad guy background. But we had enough information about him to actually start going into the archives and try to locate his grave. And that's where we're at right now. We've got some people with the government trying to determine what Henry Joseph, because we don't have a last name, passed away in 1941 in that jail. So it's actually giving us a place to start to identify this guy. He eventually agreed to cross over, and he walked towards Skeeter, and she says, "You can try it. You just walk closer to me, and you'll see the light behind me. You just cross right through me." And he was pretty leery about this. So he said, "Well, if I don't like this, I'm going to go and haunt." And he meant me. He was going to haunt me. And I said, "Fill your boots. Come on," because I know it's going to be okay. And as he's getting closer to Skeeter, Skeeter says, "Okay, there's a light. The light's opening behind me, and there's another guy there. His name is Matty." And then there was a pause, and then Skeeter says, "Oh, it's one of his old cellmates who's come to get him." And he's telling Joe, was what we called him, it's okay to go. And as this Joe energy went through Skeeter, Skeeter started to cry, which was her indication that he was starting to cry as he got in. And the last she saw of him was this cellmate of his, Maddie, putting his arm on Joe's back, and they just turned and disappeared. So I called up a day or two later. I called up the client and said, "So how's everything going?" And they said, "Yeah, it's really good, actually. We don't get those noises in the closet. We haven't been bothered by that big thing, the big dark thing." And I said, "Yeah, that's really interesting." And I then told her the story. And that's a few weeks back. They haven't had any reoccurring negative big dark thing in the kids' room or their room. So I'm confident it passed over. The unfortunate part is Grandma is still in the basement, and she doesn't want to leave. So we're going to have another conversation with her. She promised she would when it was her time. She's going to get her husband to come take her back over, or take her over. So she's kind of dragging her heels on that one. So we're going to have to go back and have a chat with her. Her name is Margaret Elizabeth, and we're trying to determine her last name. Skeeter, God bless her, she can't seem to figure out, she can't hear the last names. And we did one yesterday or the day before at a very well-known burlesque hall from back in the 1940s. That's in Vancouver, British Columbia. And she walked in the front door, and I didn't tell her anything about it. She walked in the front door of this place, and it was full of spirits. And the one guy basically said, "Who are you?" Like, met her at the door. And the stereotypical 1930s Italian mobster who had died in 1945. Didn't make it out of his 20s, but he dies in 1945, and this building wasn't even up and running as a dance hall basically until 1947. But had a long conversation with him, which was very cool. It was a very cool thing, and I'll keep you guys updated on that. That guy gave us a lot of information about not only things that the owner could still find in the building, in the walls, photographs and documents on the building itself. In fact, there's a place he indicated where there's money hidden. So we pass that on to the owners too. But very, very cool. And of course, Skeeter is in Washington State. She has no idea of the history of this building. And through this guy, we're asking questions. The questions I was asking had him describe it and what went on there. And it was exactly what the history says that building was for, including the names of the it's 4 brothers who owned it with their mom, and the names of the 4 brothers. It was fascinating. They 2 of them died close to or in the building, and 2 of them died somewhere else. And the fella told us who died in the building and who died somewhere else, and whose spirits are still there. 2 of them have crossed over, and 2 of them are hanging out in the building still. So that, I find, is very, very helpful when you go into a paranormal investigation. Imagine, instead of walking around like so many people we see on television saying, "What is your name? Come here." What a waste of time. If you can actually go in through somebody like Skeeter or any of the people at Forest Moon Paranormal who do this type of thing. If you guys are ever looking for somebody to come immediately in and find out what's going on in your house, get a hold of Forest Moon Paranormal, Eric Cooper and the boys. They've got like a bit of an Elizabeth. Just pop something up on the screen here with her name on it. They've got the kind of a 911 paranormal peak where these guys will come in an emergency if something's going on and be able to not only tell you what's going on, but most likely push the thing out. So again, drop by Eric Cooper's website or at Forest Moon Paranormal. They're out of Washington State, not too far from maybe an hour and a bit from the British Columbia border. But I tell you, those guys are absolutely great when it comes to dropping by and checking out the ghosts. So if you are a paranormal investigator and you're on a team, holy cow. Somebody, if you could get somebody to actually come in and do a remote viewing and identify all the spirits in the place, that cuts like almost 1 or 2 investigations for your team out immediately. You can go straight into, okay, I'm here to talk to Bill, because Bill, you got to leave. I got to go this. And jeepers, you get Eric's quick response team. You'll be in and out. Well, actually, don't use them for that. Don't use a quick response team for a remote viewing just because you want to see if Uncle Fred is still occupying the basement. But if you could find somebody who does remote viewing like Skeeter and get them a part of your team, you're way ahead of everybody else in the game. It's just, I can't express to you how impressed I am when something like that happens. It is so, makes the investigation so easy when we can come in like that and already have basically everybody identified and everything done. I'm going to, I think, young Miss Duncan here, Viviana, should be hanging out at the phone booth down at the corner. So we're going to give her a shout and see if she would like to drop by here and maybe have a chat with us. Yeah. And honestly, I am phoning her. We'll see how this works. Hello? No, maybe it's the weather. Or maybe not. But we got to call out to Viviana Duncan right now, and we'll see if she would like to come on, or she's probably ready. It's a little hard, at the last minute telling her, "Hey, can you come on an hour early?" Oh, not an hour. How about half an hour early? That'll work. Yeah, that should work. But I'll give her a shout and see what's up with her. It's if you are doing paranormal investigations, and if this is one of the things, or this is the beginning of your team, your team's work. You haven't gone out and done a lot of them yet, or you're wondering how to do it. Definitely talk to somebody who's been in the game for a while. Talk to them about how to do this. And it basically is a great resource. Anybody who... it appears that the phone is ringing. Hello there. How the dickens are you? I am fine. Thank you very much, Viviana, for coming in at semi-short notice.
No, it's fine. Absolutely. It's my pleasure. It's my honor.
Oh, you're honored. That's excellent. Look at that. I just got one. I just got a post from you. Mercury retrograde. Don't. Oh, you used the French word for seal. Good girl.
Yes.
Shh, quiet. Now, you are just going to zip through this really quick here. You were, at one time, years ago, known as a GPS for life. Which is interesting, but, I think it's almost like you do social work for spirits, really. It's like there's a lot of counseling and other things going on there. But you've been doing this a long time, and I'm just going to go zip through this background you've had. You pride yourself with committing your life to serving the Creator of all that is, as a vessel using your God-given abilities, most commonly known as a psychic medium, clairvoyant, body, light, energy worker, medical intuitive, Reiki master teacher and practitioner, and ordained minister and communicator to the Archangels and Ascended Masters. You're currently working in a private practice. She conducts...
I have my own private practice.
Yeah. How long have you been doing the private practice?
Well, funny story, actually. It's not really too funny, but this has always been my hustle. It's always been my side job. It's always been something that I have always done that I wanted to incorporate more into my life. But as you know, working in this type of work, and when you're working, like I like to refer to, I work for God, you sacrifice a lot of perks. You sacrifice a weekly check. You sacrifice insurance. You sacrifice all these things. And so you're on the whim of trusting that if you're doing with the right intentions the work that you're intended to do, that you're going to be supported. And it hasn't been easy, but it's been the most glorifying, the most incredibly amazing journey. I'm in love with my life, and I'm not just saying that. I'm like crazy giddy in love with my life. It's just been a really amazing journey.
Oh, beautiful. Now, a part of what I read too is this is like a third generation psychic medium. Your mother and father were both mediums, as well as your her grandmothers.
Quite honestly, I think my assistant might have sent you the old bio.
Oh, so they're no longer your relatives.
No, they're no longer my relatives. No, actually, on my father's side, I'm like 9th or 10th generation. Mm-hmm. I come from a very long lineage of trans-channel mediums on my father's side. And on my mother's side, I'm 3rd generation. And I have a daughter, and she's also displaying abilities as well.
How old is your daughter?
She's going to be 10 in September, so 9 and a half.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
It's amazing because I'm seeing a lot of myself in her, and I'm really happy that I'm able to be on this journey with her because, as a child growing up, having medium parents, and then going to a Southern Baptist school.
Oh, Lord.
And parents don't tell anybody what we do because they're going to think we're devil worshippers and this and this and this. And so it's been definitely a very interesting way of life, but I wouldn't see it any other way. It's just funny how all these pieces in life come together into this most incredible tapestry.
Yeah, and this, I guess, was seen by your parents too as you were growing up. So they kind of made it a little bit softer for you to land into that, or to actually grow up in that environment with that type of energy.
You know, the thing with my parents that I'm so incredibly grateful for is that they always let me have a choice. They always left it up to me on what direction I was going to go into. But as I got older, it started getting a little freakier because I'm the only one in my family that has psychic ability where I can foresee the future. So they didn't know how to deal with that. They knew how to deal with all the spirit and spirits coming over and taking over the body and you know, doing the channeling. They had that down pat. And the meditation, the transmuting energy, like they had all that down pat. But when it came to me asking them or saying things that they're like, whoa, wait, you know, where do you get that from? And how do you know, who told you that? And it, you know, I could see how it's a little bit scary because you're accustomed to one thing and then it's another thing. And so it started getting where I was discovering my unique gifts at a really young age. And they were trying to, you know, balance that out too, so I would somewhat have a normal childhood, but I didn't, you know.
No, you're not going to have a normal childhood.
But no, who does, really?
Yeah, what's normal?
Right, exactly. What's normal? So, you know, I have to say that my life is nothing what I thought it would be at all. And all those things that I thought were intended for me that weren't actually helped shape me, and I've come full circle several times.
Yeah. Now, you teach this too?
Yes, I do it all. I can't say that I'm just one thing. I'm a teacher. I'm a mentor. I'm a motivational person. I don't like to say that I'm a life coach because, quite frankly, I just think that's just butchering what we do. What we do, it's like a life coach. What is that? I think we all use our gifts and our abilities, our energy, our light, our intentions, our purpose to affect people differently. And like when I do my sessions, there's no session that's alike. Everything is completely different because everyone that sees me for different reasons. But it's just been such a beautiful and amazing opportunity, and I feel so incredibly, like I feel honored that God or Prime Creator has trusted me with all of this and not exploiting it or obstructing it and living it. And truly, like, I'm so crazy passionate about what I do. And I feel so honored. I just feel like I won the lottery. How many people get to do what they truly, 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 truly love?
Yeah, no kidding. It is one of those things, though, once you put this much energy into something and you're giving that energy and you're hoping you're going to get some energy back and be able to...
No, but that's not how you go about things, because if you think about it, if you go with that, you're going in with an intention of an expectation. And when you have an expectation, you're always going to find disappointment. So I don't go into anything with an expectation. I don't go into anything. My value, I know, is not in any fucking dollar amount. Mm-hmm. I cannot put a price on who I am. So I know that's not my motivation. But the money provides for my family.
Yeah.
You know, as the breadwinner. Yeah. I left my nursing career to do this full time. And not many people get to do that, and I feel like so incredibly blessed and lucky and fortunate, and it's just, man, I can't tell you. It's been really amazing. I have this mantra that I've been saying for a while, that I only attract amazing people, opportunities, and experiences.
Mm-hmm. And
about 3 weeks ago,
okay,
I actually had a client whose name was Amazing.
Okay. Really? Oh yeah, you live in California. Yeah.
I live in well, no, she's from Washington, so.
Oh, okay, fine then.
Makes sense now.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. My goodness. Now you support your household by helping other people. Do you see that coming in back to your household with that kind of energy, the positive that comes back? So I found when I had a business when I was younger, we would, you'd owe X amount for the lease and everything else at the end of the month. And you look at the retail side of thing and you're thinking, how am I going to pay for the employees? And then you'd worry about it. You don't be worried sick. And after a while, my partner and I just said, I give up. I'm not going to worry about it. That's just not going to worry about it. And random people would walk in for orders and give us a 50% deposit, which covered everything for that month. And it got to be funny. If we would just have to consciously not worry about how bills would get covered. And when we stopped worrying about it, they were all covered. So, I look at somebody, and you're obviously different than a lot of the people who I know who are psychic mediums, that I have good weeks and bad weeks with clients. You probably have clients all over the world. So you can, it's a little more steady for you, but my gosh, it's, when you're putting that positive energy out, you're going to get something back.
Let me tell you that since I've started, and you asked me this, and I'm sorry I didn't answer this earlier. You asked me how long I've been doing this, so I already basically gave you the lineage that I've been doing this basically my whole entire life. Mm-hmm. It's always been my hustle. It's always been my side thing. However, I've had my life has gone in several directions, me trying to find myself thinking that a conventional job was going to be who I am, until, life taking its twists and turns that led me to understanding that why on earth would I have a conventional life, marriage, anything if I am like the most unconventional person in the world? What I do, I talk to the Archangels, and I'm a divinely guided, I like to say that I'm a trance channel, because a lot of the stuff that comes through, people are like, how do you do it? I go into readings with as very little information as possible, because that is my groove, and that's how I do things. I feel that a reading is more authentic if I only know your first name and your date of birth, and if your husband's first name and date of birth, or whatever the scenario is.
Yeah.
And the thing is, someone could come and say, oh, I have these questions and this and this and this and this and this. And so they're prepping me. But they're also projecting their wants in what they're telling me.
Okay.
So in that projection of me telling you, well, I'm dating this guy and la 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 la, and that's, for me, that's not an authentic read. I read people the way I like to be read. And the way I like to be read is I don't want to tell you a darn thing, and I want you to either validate me or give me what Spirit wants for me to know. Mm-hmm. So when I do my readings, that's pretty much how it goes. I'm pretty accurate. all of my reviews back my work. My reputation precedes itself. I've had amazing opportunities to do some pretty amazing things and be a part of stuff and have high profile people and a lot of different things and man, it's just I just feel so incredibly blessed that I get to, like I said, do what I really love and do it unapologetically. I've got
a what if for you, or something that I'm finding in interviewing a lot of very, very sought after psychics from around the world. In the last couple of years, their spirit guide has taken a step back and has been replaced by an extraterrestrial. Before I get into how many spirit guides you have, not in your case? Okay.
Not my case.
Do you have one primary or a team?
This is what I do. Before every session, I call in the angels that it's a little combination of me calling in the archangels that I have been accustomed to working with, and several ascended masters, and the prime creator of all that is. And sometimes an angel or a guide or an ascended master will step forward or step through because of the person that I'm sitting with. And what I am is I am a clear conduit for whatever needs to come through that is in alignment with the creator of all that is, and is honoring the light and honoring and assisting and transmuting and helping humanity through the ascension process.
Okay. Now,
I'm a vehicle for the light. What I like to say is I'm like a pipeline. I'm the pipeline for light.
That's the medium. That's and a lot of people don't know what a medium is. It's the one in between.
Well, you know, like I say, I'm really, before I would say, yes, I'm a psychic medium. Yes. I'm proud of being psychic because I'm good at what I do. I don't need to bullshit anybody. I blow people's hair without even trying. Sorry, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell people, or I don't need to do anything to impress anybody. I'm not looking to be a sideshow. I'm just looking to do what I feel I'm sent here to do, and help people get to where they need to be their optimal, most authentic self in alignment with what and where they're supposed to be. And it comes in all different shapes and forms, and sometimes it comes by me doing just a basic reading.
What is a basic reading?
A basic reading? Well, I read. I use a couple tools. As a child, I learned how to read poker playing cards. Mm-hmm. One of my best friends growing up, her mother was multi-generational psychic medium as well, but more along of the gypsy culture, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so she taught me and my best friend, her daughter, how to read the cards when we were like kids. And so I've been reading poker playing cards since I was about 13, 14 years old, but I don't read them like any book. The way it happens for me is I read the entire deck, and a movie plays in my head. And I just lay out a couple lines, and I just start seeing the movie, and I start hearing things, and it's literally a synchronistic, all kinds of stuff going on simultaneously that I've just been able to articulate and do it very quickly and correctly, accurately. And so a normal reading would be a card reading with whatever guidance comes through, channeled wise.
Yeah.
The awarenesses may come through a family member, may come through a guide, may come through just the cards, may come through, like, I talk to God, Creator, every day. Every single day, all day. Believe it or not, Creator's pretty accessible. And I have some pretty amazing conversations. And I have a pretty amazing relationship. So for me, there's times that I'll just get a hit on one of my regular people. It's not like it just happens, or maybe not a regular person, just someone God will tell me, you need to message this person and say this. And they're always saying, oh my God, Viv, you're just so unbelievable. How do you do this? And the thing is that I don't think I do anything. I think that I honestly, truly, with all of my being, have yearned to serve the Creator. All of my incarnation, all of this life. And for me, it's like I wouldn't see it or do it any other way. You know?
Yeah. When you talk to God, is that a prayer or meditation, or you just?
No,
is it a
talk. It's a conversation.
Okay, a verbal conversation then, not a mind conversation. Okay.
Well, it's not. Well, it's a verbal, mind, emotional being conversation. But yeah, there's various things going on with that. There are days where I'm upset over a situation, and I've had certain instances where I've experienced misfortune, and you get angry because you're like, I left blah 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 blah. Not to say that, look at, I left all of this and this and this because of this. I think part of it is the frustration within myself of like, when is this just gonna flow? You understand what I'm saying? Because for me, this has been a lifelong mission. I am not even playing. Like, I can remember doing readings from my mom and dad's friends when they would bring me, what does she need anything? And then I'd give them a little mini session or whatever. And I mean, I think I was like 10 years old doing readings. So just what I've been doing, and it's evolved, it's grown. A lot of different things have happened from it. My awareness is it's just been such a far out, mind-blowing journey. So going back to, I'm very transparent.
I can see right through you.
I am not here to impress anybody, and quite frankly, I don't care what others think, because I'm here. I don't care what others think. I'm here to do what I'm here to do. Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't work with your situation, then that's your issue, not mine.
Yeah.
And it's I guess the Sicilian side of me that has that kind of attitude. But what was I getting at? I just I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought for a second there.
Derailed your train of thought.
I did.
As a psychic, you should have saw that coming.
I should have seen that coming.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about basically being very transparent. You are who you are, and
I am.
Yeah, it's what comes.
Oh, okay, yeah. So what I was getting at, and I feel like I need to say this because there's a lot of people that are coming out now more so because, quite frankly, the universe, the multiverse, humanity needs us now more than ever. For those of us who maybe at one time were reluctant of doing this, I encourage everybody, listen, I'm not in competition with anybody. I don't care. I don't care who and what in whatever you learned from. But you know what? All of us together as a collective, working together simultaneously, collectively, we can change things and move things and make wonderful things happen. And I'm always encouraging my fellow people that, you know what, yeah, you make sacrifices. But you know what? You make sacrifices in any other job or thing that you do in life. And you know what? So what I was getting at is I, at one point, I had a very, I was making good money. And I had a really nice truck. And when things changed in my life, I had a health issue come up, but I was praying and I was asking Creator, I'm sick of working so much, and I wanted more balance, and I wanted more time with my family, and I wanted to do this, my passion. So I got diagnosed with ovarian cancer. One thing led to another. I ended up getting my second surgery. So I had a full hysterectomy done almost 2 years ago. And so I had already had my truck. I was, doing my nursing thing. And then in transitioning in recovery, my client had like 10 strokes.
Oh.
And I ended up losing my client. So life shifted for me.
Yeah.
And life shifted for me with ease and grace, because the whole ease and grace thing, you don't have to pray for it and ask for it and everything if you just surrender. Surrendering is the key. You don't have to ask for ease and grace if you surrender to something. The ease and grace just comes. So I surrendered to God, and I'm like, look, okay, help this work out. So things were rolling, and I was rebuilding my brand and rebuilding myself, and really putting my brand out there, my Viviana brand.
Very cool.
I started getting opportunities to red carpet events, and some cool stuff happened. Anyways,
yeah. Do you find that it's almost like riding? Have you ever gone inner tubing or tubing? You just hop in an inner tube and float
oh my
down a
God,
river?
yes, like bumper boating more like though. I would say it's back of a speed jet. No, because sometimes you hit that water and it feels like cement. Yeah.
Okay, no, this is a totally different thing. You end up you grab a case of beer, or maybe half sack of beer. I don't know if you call it that in the United States. 6 beer. You get a truck tire, inner tube, inflate it. In the summer, throw your bathing suit on, grab a hat, some sunscreen, put the beer in the middle of the tube, kind of sitting on top of it, and you just get into the creek.
And you go tubing.
Yeah, you just float until it's time to stop floating, or you hit the ocean or a waterfall. But or until the beer is all done. But you're just going with them. You're not fighting it. You're not. We've spent so much of our life pushing away from the bank, and
it's that resistance.
Yeah.
And us getting away of ourselves that really screws us up. It really, truly does. And I think what had happened is that I've gotten burnt and hurt and everything, and finally it's just, I just said that, look it, I got to just go all in and just trust. And so we ended up moving from where we were living on the central coast of California. We lived in the Santa Barbara area, and we purchased some property up by Yosemite in the exact center of California. So we moved out here, and we have some acreage, and we're in nature, and it's beautiful, and our life has changed dramatically from city life to mountain life.
Yeah.
And my clientele changed, too, for a little bit there, because I moved about 4 hours away, and sometimes out of sight, out of mind, people think, she moved, she's not doing this anymore. So since we moved here, it's been the last 8 months have been really hard. Like, it's like, oh my God, here I go again, rebuilding my brand and like redoing this all over. And oh my gosh. So my truck just got repossessed.
Oh. But there may be a good outcome.
There is a reason.
Yeah.
There is a reason because, you know, when I had my truck, I could afford it because I was making a lot, you know, and now it's not really about, our needs are being met, and we're not in squander. And I don't want to leave that impression out, and I don't want you to get the feeling, oh my God, listen, my car payment was $600 a month, so it's just, life happens. But with what I want to say with that is, yeah, it hit my ego. It really hit my ego when I realized that I can't afford this truck that I worked really hard to have. And it really hit my ego, and I got mad. I was like, Spirit, I left all of this security and this and this, and I trusted you. And I started getting mad, and then I checked myself because I was like, what the hell what am I saying? God has spared me more times than I know. I cheated death a couple times, you know. I had ovarian cancer when I was 25. I have a daughter now that I wasn't even supposed to have a kid. So yeah, thinking hindsight, I'm like, yeah, so what? My truck just got repossessed, but I'm a cancer survivor twice, and I have a child, and I'm doing what I love. And even if it isn't, you know, even if it isn't where I'm completely booked out years and months or whatever, hey, you know what? I like the people that I'm working with, and I like that I get to have that day off and go hang out with my kid. And I get to go kayaking with my daughter and, you know, take her out early from school or something, you know? So quite frankly, I'm beginning to realize that God knew exactly what I needed, when I needed it, how I needed it. And all I need to do is trust and keep pressing forward, changing lives, touching lives, inspiring people, empowering people, and moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little interesting when you, and I've run into someone who called herself an oracle or a psychic medium who was running on pure ego. You'd look at her page on Facebook, and she's in a bikini leaning against a Ferrari. And I interviewed her. I had her on the show, but when I interviewed her after about, she was telling me all the police that she had helped and investigations, and she named investigations that I was working on. I had no idea. She wasn't on our investigations at all.
Oh, wow. I did that in my 20s, the FBI stuff and missing persons stuff. And quite frankly, it's I'm good.
Yeah.
Not my cup of tea.
Yeah. It's it can affect people. I know a lot of people who still do it. Not only did remote viewing for the federal government, or like
it don't leave me alone. Oh my God! Like seriously, I don't want to totally take over your show like I have done already, but it's the stories of things that I've experienced. It's just like, you'll have to read my book, which I need to get back on it and start adding some chapters to it.
Viviana, are there pictures in your book?
There will be some pictures. There's a picture.
That's the only way I'll read it.
Illustrate. How about stick figures? No, I think I might have some pictures of my book is basically talking about my life growing up in the dynamic that I grew up in. I grew up in kind of like a cult type of church.
Mm-hmm.
That is very famous in South America. That my parents are my father's Sicilian, My mother's Argentinian, and my father was raised in Argentina, and they were part of this church. I believe they're still around. That is basically a spiritualist church, and so I grew up in that, and I grew up with a lot of the things, and growing up, and even in my 20s, and I was like, it just, none of my life made sense. I was just like, I felt like the black sheep. Nothing made sense. But now, 42, looking back, I was like, you know what? This is a pretty awesome freaking painting. Tapestry.
Yeah, cool. It's where we are now, and this is all completely new to me compared to you. It's basically for me, it all started in 2012. For you, it started, when you were younger, back in the 1800s. But it's
it started in the 70s.
Oh,
no,
the 1770s. That whole past life regression thing. Right. But it is. So I think, and this is how my brain works, but it's my opinion that we're still learning. I'm learning.
I disagree.
So you could get called back then.
I don't think we're learning. I think we're remembering. I think that we know, and everything. This is my perception on and this is my awareness, is that we are higher dimensional beings. We're many of us come from many different realms and dimensions and all sorts of things, right? Mm-hmm. And we're here like in New York City. This is the big melting pot. And we're from all over the place.
But you have to hold that thought, because we're having a break. We'll be back with more from Viviana Duncan and her disagreement with me right after this.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on two mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. Two mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for news beyond the mainstream news? Head to spacedoutradio.com and check out the SOR Spacewire. This is Spaced Out Radio's Eric Markham, News Director for the SOR Spacewire. Daily, I will bring you intriguing stories and outlandish reports from what's going on around the world. UFO sightings, paranormal activity, conspiracies, alternative health, and so much more. And if you have news, email me at news@spacedoutradio.com. It's paranormal news at its finest. Welcome to The Encounter. At spacedoutradio.com, The Encounter online is SOR's trusted news source for everything weird and strange going on around the world. This is news editor Eric Markham. Our team of journalists are scouring the planet for those strange stories that rarely make the mainstream. No fear-mongering or fake news here. Head over to spacedoutradio.com and encounter The Encounter.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners, for only $5 a month you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
The third Monday of every month, Spaced Out Radio is going to bring you a different look at everything paranormal. Welcome to The Reporters. Jim Mallard, Vanessa Hogel, Denise Garcia, and Christina George join me, Dave Scott, for a look at the weird and strange from the other side of the microphone. We'll break down ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, and the people investigating them. The paranormal media has never been heard like this. Come listen to The Reporters.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
It's time to go live on Spaced Out Weekend.
13, please. Oh, hi, Kevin. Oh, is that the time? Kevin, my friend, don't you find that watch just a little bit loud? Well, I certainly hope our buddy Bumblefoot is playing when we get there. Oh, you stinky big bundle of hair. I said Bumblefoot, not Bigfoot. Oh, it's going to be a long night.
It's time to head to the 13th floor of the old log cabin for Spaced Out Weekend with James Tyson. You can tweet James at James Tyson SOR. You can find him on Instagram, Spaced Out Weekend, as well as on Facebook. On YouTube, our channel is Spaced Out Radio Show, and you can check out our website, spacedoutradio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, perched high in his captain's chair, way above the clouds, here's James Tyson.
Thank you, Dave. And as you know, Elizabeth was out of the weather, so I jumped in for a little bit on her hour at the beginning. And now this is my hour. So thanks for sticking around. We are broadcasting to you from the Spaced Out Radio Network here in my little log cabin on the 13th floor, waving at Dave, who's downstairs in coveralls, pushing a broom, because that's what he does on the weekend, and listening to me through headphones. So if I make a mistake or not mention something, he'll come and smack me, because, you know, that's what Dave does. If you are on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and you can get a link there to the patreon.com, and we have some cool stuff and offers for you and our listeners as well. Make sure you check those out. And if you are also on there, we still have that lovely little thing where you can fill out, if you've had an experience, you've encountered something, the SOR Sightlines Report. Our researcher, Mike Schmidt, is ready to find out what's going on. And if, let's say, you were looking at an owl one day standing outside your truck and you thought your head was full of feathers, and then there was a UFO around, that would be one of those things you'd want to put on the SOR Sightlines report and have Mike take a look at it from a few different angles and see if anybody else has had that experience in that same area. You know who I'm talking to. Come on. We talked about this last week. It's if you and maybe stop cutting your own hair. All right? And they won't look like the owls won't stare at you because you have a head full of feathers. We're coming back now with our guest, Viviana Duncan. She is a psychic medium, has been for as long as she can remember. She is multi-Mediterranean, multi-generational in her family. And on the break, she was mentioning something that was very cool. And I'm going to get it out of her again, kicking and screaming. But we were talking about angels. And actually, before we went to the break, you disagreed with me, the host, and that's unfathomable. Actually, I'm afraid it's like, as a psychic, you should have saw that wasn't acceptable. But I was saying that my opinion was once we're always learning, but you say we're always remembering. So, keep going on that. What do you mean?
What do I mean? I mean that we are, okay, so if God created us in the image of Him, we are created as duplicates, right? We're a duplicate to the Creator of all that is, right? Mm-hmm. God created us in His image. So I believe that through all of our incarnations and whatever assignments and things we had through all of our existences, we've gone here, there, we've gathered information here, there, we've experienced all these sorts of things. Now, coming into this planet, into this incarnation for this moment and this time in this place, 2017, we have stepped lower dimensionally than ever. And so we're experiencing life through a lower vibration. That's why we were dealing with all this other stuff. It's like we wanted to experience, we wanted to mature our lower chakra sort of stuff. So we're like, okay, let's go to Earth. Yeah, let's go do this. And we get stuck into these conditions and these belief systems, and we get caught into all this stuff where all of that stuff has basically inundating our brains and our memories, in our DNA, in our spiritual template with all this other nonsense where it's a distraction. So when you're thinking I'm learning and this, you've already know all that. You already possess everything that you need and have known because you've already lived it. I mean, everything, even if you go through the Akashic records, and you were to go through each thing, you would see how you have evolved as a spiritual being, because we are all playing such an intricate part into what's going on right now that the ones of us that are here, we're experts at what we do. Our soul, even if you don't know what you're doing, your soul knows exactly what it's doing, when to do it, how to do it, how often to do it.
Yeah.
But, we don't need to worry and get in the way of ourselves of doing this stuff. All this stuff is distraction. And the distractions is what's getting us all caught up into these other sideline experiences.
Mm-hmm. We talk about angels and your spirit guides. Do you have the names, or do you know who your spirit guides are?
I don't like to say that I have like spirit guides. I work with the Archangels, the Creator of all that is, and several Ascended Masters. But most primarily, I work cohesively with the Archangels in my sessions with my clients. We got a dialogue going on. There's so much going on in a session. It's not just a reading. There's healing going on. There's energy getting transmuting. There's clearing. There's all kinds of stuff going on when I do a session. It's amazing that when I get on the phone with somebody and later when I get off, the transformation, you can hear it in their voice. You could hear the clarity. You can hear the confidence coming back, the empowerment. It's amazing.
Yeah. Or it could be just testicular compression.
It could be that too.
Yeah, it depends where you're sitting. See, my spirit guide, I've got another one named Annabella. She was human at one time, kind of back from the 1700s. Very nice, handsome lady. And the other one I had, my primary one that I call Matthew, I was told he was never, quote unquote, earthbound. And then somebody walked by and said, "Oh, your spirit guide is an extraterrestrial." What? That was weird.
They shift in and out, and there's so many different aspects and levels to us. And what you're probably experiencing now, where people are saying that these are different levels of you. These are different aspects of you that are coming through. Matthew could be your higher self that's an expert in whatever Matthew's an expert in. So, like for me as a child, my guides changed all the time. Okay. You're born with certain guides. You have guides that come in with you, but through life experience and through things that happen in life, they change constantly. I remember. So I don't know if I told you this, that I did ayahuasca.
Yeah.
And when I did ayahuasca and leading up to ayahuasca, I did a lot of real deep meditative weekends and stuff, like just really going within. And I remember having these suppressed memories come up of me being like 2-3 years old with my mom and dad, and remembering this spirit would come to me through my toys. The spirit, like my stuffed animals the spirits would take, my stuffed animals would channel these beings, so to speak. And I'm telling you this like a 3-year-old could explain it. And I remember when I went into one of my deep weekends that I realized that the guide that was coming to me was Cthulhu. When I was like 3 and 4 years old, 5 years old, and he was telling me, preparing me of things that were going to happen down the pike, and tell me, prepare me for things that were coming down later. I also had in my 20s, after cancer, I had a 12th dimensional light being come to me who, I can't believe I'm remembering this now, huh? Her name was Lanira, and she had never been incarnate in physical, and she was very curious of it, and she wanted to work with me and whatnot and whatever. And I'll be damned, she hadn't told me that she was going to choose me to be her mother.
What?
And,
really?
Yeah. No. Yeah. I can't. I just remembered that. Yeah, she told me that she was going to come through as a female child to me. I gotta go through my AOL emails and find this, the log. But I used to trans-channel Lanira in one of these chat rooms, and yeah. So she was my guide for a couple years, saying that she wanted to experience life through me. Now I have a daughter. I had an opportunity after I graduated university. I lived back east for a little while in Connecticut. I lived like a block and a half from a Civil War cemetery, and I wasn't even in my place for like 3 days, and I suddenly started getting harassed by a plethora of Civil War people constantly harassing and haunting me, until finally someone showed me how to do a clearing, and I was able to clear my place. So my guides have changed.
Is that because, now, we'll come back to guides and angels in a sec, but is that because you live near help me out here, a cemetery?
Okay, so I lived in West Haven, Connecticut, and I lived in an old house that used to be a boarding home.
Okay.
In the days. And so what had happened when I first moved in there, I started having this like vision. I went into the bathroom and I saw the bathroom looked all like Victorian, like that era. Mm-hmm. It didn't look like it was. And I started having these visions about this girl with this long dark hair. And then I was in the living room playing on my little web TV, and I kept seeing somebody pacing behind me and seeing it from the corner of from my peripheral. And I was kind of getting irritated, so I was like, okay, what do you want? And I started having a telepathic dialogue with her. And she just wanted acknowledgement, because that's really what they want. They want to be acknowledged. And what had happened was that her mother had died of scarlet fever, and her father was a Quaker, and he flipped out into his Quaker religion, and he strangled her in the bathtub, which I kept seeing visions of a girl with long dark hair in a bathtub with her arms kind of like hanging over. And then he killed his son that was like 12, and he buried both of them in the backyard, and then he offed himself. And with this activity of her coming and wanting, she wanted help transitioning into the light. Well, what do you know? Viviana opened up Grand Central Station. The next thing I know, I'm asleep in my bed. I open my eye, and there's like a dead Civil War soldier like staring me in my face, like in my bed. There's like pots and pans flying all over. It was so chaotic, and it was so scary, and it was just, I didn't understand, and I ended up, I was really close to my dad, and my dad was like, Vivi, he's like, first of all, they see a light. Spirits don't see us as they see people. They see us as rays of light. Mm-hmm. So, Vivi, of course they went to your house, man. They probably thought it was like a gala going on there.
Yeah, they saw the searchlights moving. Oh, it's a grand opening.
Right, so they were coming to my light because it's like the moth to flame thing. They don't know, they think it's the light. So I had all this activity going on. I'm freaking out. I didn't know what to do. I was really kind of still young and naive. And so there was this store that was like a witchy store, and through my conditioning in Southern Baptist and all that, and growing up, I was like really turned off by anything that was anything remotely pagan or Wicca, and I kept getting like this urge to go into this store. And I went in there, and I'm like, there's all kinds of activity going on. She's like, where do you live? I'm like right back behind here. It was like behind the store I lived in. Where's my place? I go, I don't know what to do. Like, there was poltergeist activity going on, all sorts of stuff. And so she told me to buy this one stone. It was a selenite, the first crystal I ever bought. A selenite slab. And she gave me some dragon's blood and a charcoal disc, and she's like telling me some stuff to say. And then I was just like, okay, no, I'm not. That's not who I am, and trying to find the happy medium. So I kind of did what she told me to do, and I'm in there in the living room, and I'm like crying and praying, and I'm like, oh, Michael, please, because I was terrified. It was very terrifying. I felt like I was living the Sixth Sense. It was freaking me out. Mm-hmm. And so I'm praying and praying, and I'm burning the incense, and I'm calling in Michael, and I still wasn't, I knew about the angels, but I didn't really know, and I didn't know what I was doing, and it was gone. Like, oh. It just all left. And I'm really still surprised that was really terrifying. I lived out 3,000 miles away by myself. It was terrified. It was scary.
Yeah, it would be. And, I have a hard enough time, waking up and wondering why I keep waking up at the same time and then realize, oh, it's that time where they can get my attention a little bit more. And,
the veil's really super thin right now, too. The veil is super thin. Super thin. Like, when was it? Last night or the night before, my daughter and I, we were meditating, and my daughter's all, Mom, look, do you see them walking by? Like, she was telling me she saw spirits walk, like she could see beings like she normally couldn't see. So the veil's getting thinner. We're moving up higher and higher into these dimensions, and I really strongly do believe that it's going to be sooner than later that we will be having some interactions.
What? We've heard about this for a long time, and my show tomorrow is the shift. It's on every second Sunday, and we talk about prediction and premonition that sensitive people and intuitives have been getting. That is something that I'm very, very curious about because of the things that I've seen over the last few years. Myself, all of a sudden, realizing this stuff that's been going on in my life is, I've seen ghosts, and shadows, and I've heard things, and I see things in dreams that are amazingly realistic and connected to.
Well, it all makes sense now because of our brief little conversation, doesn't it?
Well, no, it all hit in 2012, where I wasn't believing
that
in
hit your awakening.
Yeah,
you were right in the middle of your awakening,
and people were saying, "Oh, yeah," and that happened. Actually, that happened in November, December, and people in the psychic community or the intuitive community here were saying October, November 2012 was an awakening for a lot of people.
A lot of people went through a lot of really gnarly realizations in the awakening. My realization was I completely hit rock bottom in my life, where I was just like, okay, what do I do? And I needed to go work on myself, and I needed to work on clearing out my belief systems, and I did that for like 4 years.
And that was in 2012?
Yeah.
Some
gnarly.
What?
Yeah.
I just got something about that. You were reprogrammed. You dumped your hard drive and got reprogrammed for what's coming up. That's why you dropped so low.
Well, it wasn't necessarily all of that. What I needed to do was dump all my programming that had been inserted in me in my whole entire life, was around religion and cultural, and especially as a healer. I really, for the majority of my life, had like that judgment and persecution thing riding on my back, where I was hiding out. I was afraid to put my brand and put myself out there, and I didn't feel confident enough, and I've not only evolved as a person, I've evolved in what I thought I wanted to do with my life. Quite honestly, I'm going to break it down. I've always wanted to be famous. I always wanted to be famous. In fact, I used to be in radio and television, and that was what I wanted to do. And it just didn't happen for me that way. And now, over some recent realizations within the last 6 months, I've you know what? Quite honestly, James, I'm not really motivated by the money and all that. Yeah, I want to be famous because I feel that on a platform that could catapult me into my teaching and helping and doing what I do. That is the reason that I want to do it. But it's not ego-driven anymore. It's not ego-driven about, I want to be a Kardashian and I want to, do this and this. And I'd get mad because everybody was getting discovered but me. But I had all this other stuff. And now I'm just like, who cares? I just want to do the work. I don't care who it's with.
Yeah.
As long as it's,
You really did get a cleanse, a psychic cleanse, a vibrational cleanse.
I had to have that vibrational cleanse. And, so with me and releasing those belief systems and the programs and all those things that were really deeply, not only, and that this is something that is in our DNA, it's in our genetics, it's in our ancestral, it's in our cultural, it's the belief systems. You can't escape those. They're everywhere. So I needed to really connect with the ones that were core issues that were affecting me. And the real core issue, one of the core issues, was the fear of judgment and persecution with my parents, like, oh, they're going to think you're a devil worshiper and don't tell anybody what you do and that sort of stuff with all the religion and all of that and purging all of it and crying it all out and releasing. And I got to tell you, man, it's not easy. Facing, looking at your ugly, ugly, ugly stuff, staring at yourself in the mirror and saying, okay, what are we going to do? And just start dealing with things. So I started clearing things out.
One of the biggest problems I have is I can't forgive myself. I can forgive other people in my life, but it's like I don't take myself seriously when I'm forgiving myself for something. It's like, no, I forgive myself. No, actually, that was pretty bad. I'll move to the next thing. I forgive me for doing that. No, that was pretty crappy too. So it's like I can forgive somebody for dropping a plane on a house across the street from me, killing my cat. That's no big deal.
Oh man, you messed with my cat. I don't know about that. I'm a cat lady.
I made some little kid cry by looking at them sideways when I was a little kid, and I can't forgive myself for that. It's the hardest thing. So I'm still work on that. Self work is pretty important to me. I've got a question from one of the people in the chat room. What is your belief system when it comes to predestiny, like choosing to come and be in this life? This is where I'm supposed to be.
Okay. What's my stance on all that?
Yeah.
My stance on all of this is that I volunteered to come back through the ascension process.
Okay.
And I not only made that conscious decision of doing that, I also made the conscious decision of everything else included in the deal. And so this is how I like to explain things to people that I work with. Is God's like, okay, so you're going to go back down there? Okay, so we'll map it out for me and let's take a look. So you pick your lessons, you pick your parents, you pick your relationships, you pick your whatever. You pick all your stuff. Okay? You pick what you're going to do, and in there we got some free will.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come into this incarnation or whatever, when you come into embodiment, you got the contract with all the amendments and all the clauses and everything, or you got option number B, which is wing it. And wing it is like, I'm not sure I'm really cut out this life to be a prophet or whatever. I think I'm just going to go kick it. I think I'm just going to go do whatever the heck I want to do. And you have that option. But however, you made that conscious agreement. You made those contracts. And those contracts, they got to get completed one way or another. Now, you can make alterations to your contracts, which we are consciously always making changes in our sleep, in our dreams, and we're always making changes to our agreements, contracts, oaths, and everything. So what I believe is that there is a predestined sort of thing because you made choices. Free will comes into play because you may decide, like, you know what, I don't want to marry this first guy because this guy's a total jerk. I think I want to go dance and be one of the Rockettes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. And you meet somebody else. However, if you did not learn that lesson that needed to be learned or whatever that you had made in that agreement, you make alterations. So when you transition from this into the next whatever,
mm-hmm.
in that transitional process, there is something that I like to refer to as spiritual boot camp. And that spiritual boot camp is where you go. It's not purgatory. It's not heaven. It's not hell. It's not. There's just light on the other side. It's just light. And you go through this. You can decide to, okay, I want to go like into the light per se, or no, you know what? I don't want to transition quite yet. I still want to have access to my family and to this and that or whatever. I got something going on here, and still do my little. I'm going to school. I'm getting my units done, and then you make those agreements on that. The God that created, or the creator of all of that is, the creator that I serve, is a benevolent, merciful, loving, amazing, funny, charming, brutally honest, amazing creator, friend, compadre, whatever you want to call it. I do not believe that the person or the creator that created me is a vengeful creator.
No, neither do I. No, he's he, she, it. You just don't ever want to ask, do these genes make my butt look big, because you're going to get an answer you don't want. But it's coming from that source, so it's still good. It's still very good.
It's always good.
It's always good. Anything you get that. So, like, what you're talking about, I kind of relate that as like the Akashic Records. We're going to sit down, we're going to come up with a plan. But I've never heard, you're the first person who said, oh yeah, we could change that. We can tweak it as we go along.
We're constantly making changes, constantly.
Nice.
When I have clients that I've seen, and I'm in a session, and Michael will tell me they got 3 dark contracts open. That's why all this negative stuff is happening in their life. That's why they're around all these people that are very dark entity people. They have contracts that were completed but were left open, and so that is serving kind of like a portal for this energy to come in and out of. So then that's when Michael says, all right, ask them if they're ready to, if they want to, if they're ready, because it's your free will. And then that's when things get sealed. But we're constantly changing things. You can, just because there is a contract in place doesn't mean you can't alter it, or you can't, you may decide that you don't want to follow through with that, and you have that option. You can make change.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that when I sat down with mine has changed. Now, when you say it like that, it makes more sense, because either God's got a really good sense of humor, or he says, okay, this will be your relationship. Well, obviously he gave me a wide open on the relationship thing.
Right.
I'm thinking, boy, you're funny. It's
no, but and I mean, even regarding relationships, there's people that are like, oh, my twin flame, la 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 la. Okay, that's your twin flame, but maybe your twin flame isn't down with the same contract, and your twin flame is winging it.
Yeah. Now,
maybe your twin flame is defective. So why don't you quit worrying about what the heck your twin flame or your supposed twin flame, because there's a lot of supposed twin flame things, and creators constantly telling me, creator's been constantly telling me things about some of the channeling stuff that's coming through that is causing more havoc than actually good. And it's making people discouraged and confused and angry. And so creators you need to take this stuff and use your discernment. Your discernment was given to you, just like your brains.
Mm-hmm.
You got to use them. You really have to. There's a lot of things that are starting to come out right now. It's like, you know how that saying goes, everything comes out in the wash?
Yeah.
Well, we're in the thick of the ascension right now, sweetheart.
And that's global ascension?
It's multiverse. This is a multiverse. Oh, yeah. We actually, how amazing is that this planet, because of our ascension, the whole entire multiverse is ascending because of what we're doing. I mean, it's tremendous. We're all growing, we're all evolving, we're all changing, we're all coming into our divinity. But my talks with God,
yeah,
He's been telling me, and I'm married, so it's not like I'm looking for the person, but I did have a twin flame dynamic that I shifted out of, because people shift, people can grow, and I told God, like, I'm so devoted to this, to what I'm doing, this journey and everything. I'm so committed that I want to just reach my maximum potential. And I don't care if that includes my twin flame or not, because I'm here to serve humanity. So in my talks with creators, I'll just work on yourself. You are your own twin flame. And when you are good with yourself and you work out all your kinks and all your imperfections and all your triggers and all of that, and you really improve and fall in love with yourself, your mate will come when and if he's supposed to come. But to be honest, I'm having a good time just really loving myself.
Yeah, and we got a question. Milo is asking, why does it feel like we don't feel like we're ascending globally? Right now, if you look at the countries and the political systems that are kind of bouncing around from Australia to the Netherlands to what just happened in Turkey.
But a lot of that is the distraction of what's going on, because this is what the thing is there's so many multitudes of things going on at once,
mm-hmm.
and it's just like this completely intricate show going on, that if you just really begin to realize that what's going on and they're showing us is the distraction. And the distraction is there because they want us to be fearful. They want us to be fearful because fear breeds chaos. So if I'm afraid that I'm going to get bombarded or whatever the president's doing or whatever, and all of my emotion is wrapped up in that, well, guess what happens? Fear breeds chaos. Chaos ensues travesty and tragedy, and what do we have there?
Yeah.
Population decrease.
Yep.
That's what they're doing. It's the survival of the fittest, because that's what they want you to believe, that you're a lone wolf, you're a lone soldier, you're here on your own, No. God did not intend that for us. He intended us to be here brethren. That's the whole tribe thing that's been for billions of years. That's what we've been created to do. These other guys just threw a wrench in it.
Do we have a choice? Do we have a choice to save ourselves from the path we're on? A lot of people have become enlightened over the last, let's call it 10 years, and a lot of information is coming through in what we call the shift, from political unrest, social unrest, banking collapses, to the possibility of a magnetic shift the magnetic pole shifting, which would cause tectonic and
with the pole shifting and everything that's going on, and the GRC or whatever, and this and this. That's the other thing. Like what Creator was telling me. Like I said, I talk to Creator all the time, and I was starting to get bothered by it, because what I was noticing is, because I'm privy to a lot of the channel things. I belong to a lot of the those groups, and I was hearing these things, these predictions on when the certain things were supposed to happen. And then it's like you're listening to such and such channel information that these much anticipated events are going to happen, and they don't. And then people are like, you know what, this is a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
And then see where the distraction ends up being the thing that shoots you down in your ascension process. So, can I share some new awareness with you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Creator said that this is the time for us to contain our energies. This is the time that we need to start acting, vibrating, and living almost like we are these spotlights. So our energy is contained within within that vessel. And we need to be consciously aware at all times of our thoughts, of our words, of everything that we're putting out there, and what we are empowering, and what it is that we're choosing to support and empower. Facebook, I used to be really up into that Facebook thing, but one day God told me, deactivate your account, so I was offline for like a month. That same day that God told me to deactivate my account, my very big high profile client that I have, that I've had for like years, told me the same thing, and I took it as a message. So I unplugged for a month, and then started getting all kinds of really big downloads and awarenesses, and started seeing things through a completely different perspective. And dealing with things in my life and in my practice and whatnot. And then one day, God tells me, like, why don't you go on Facebook and see what you think now? So I went and activated my account for a minute, and like I had like a million messages. People were like, "What happened?" And what happened? You know what happened? Every time I get on Facebook, I was freaking frustrated, because if I'd go live, that little live feed thing counter with how many people go on in there, that thing really screws with you. When I first started going live and I used to do these 3-card mini readings. Like every day I'd go on and just do free readings, because I'm here to serve. And not everybody can afford readings, but everybody deserves guidance. So I'd be on there doing readings, and I'd get really mad and frustrated because I'd be viral, and then they started snuffing me, and they started like censoring me, and I'm bilingual in Spanish, so I was putting content out in English and Spanish, and they didn't like that, so they shut me down. And when I took my break, I was like, that was really that was affecting my work, because it was like that psychological game that they were playing with me, that I wasn't good enough or something, because my number wasn't what I would like it to be.
Yeah. And
I started noticing that there's a lot of negativity out there. It's all about the war and Trump, and then my daughter, bless her heart, she says, "Mom, do you know why Facebook was created?" "No." "Why, honey?" "Because it's a distraction. They keep you hypnotized. If they can keep you scrolling, they can keep you distracted, and they can keep you dumb." I was like, jaw drop moment that she had articulated that at 9.5 years old, which is true. Because there's moments that you're like, what have I done all day today? Holy cow, I've been scrolling for 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So with me, like, coming into my own awarenesses, and then her bringing that brilliant, epic awareness, I was like, she's right. So now I'm sticking with my whole divinely guided thing. I go online when Spirit tells me to go online and do some free readings or do a talk or do whatever. I do a little bit of everything. And I don't have a plan. I just go and wing it. And for the last couple of days, Spirit's been telling me, yeah, you need to go out there because there's a lot of fear out there, and there's people that are they're scared in a lot of different ways. They're scared of change. They're scared of this. They're scared of that. They don't know what's coming down the pike. There's just so many different things. And not only that, there's people that are so wrapped up into their lower vibrational, petty life that is consuming them because they're so wrapped up into whatever little thing that is their distraction. That God's been telling me now, I need to be strong for those that can't be strong for themselves. So that's what I've been doing, Yeah, the money's great. I need the money to pay bills and feed my family, but that's not my motivation. In fact, to be quite honest with you, when I do my sessions, I never set an alarm and almost always go over. And so that's just not my thing.
I've got another question. You were talking about light beings. You had a 12th dimensional light being come through. Mm-hmm. Do you know the difference between non-Terrans? And I'm wondering if you even know what that means.
No, I just know that Lanier said that she came from the 12th dimension, that she was right underneath the creator of all of this. Now, also, I was 23, so we're talking 20 years ago.
Oh, before light beings were trendy.
Right, before it was all starseed and this, and that's the other thing. God tells me every day, these people, they're doing too much. God is really, let me break it down to how basic God is. Love. That's it.
Yeah.
And people want to just make it so much more complicated. Like you need a PhD to be good enough to talk to the creator or something. It's mind-boggling. So
the light beings, that is like, when you talk about the 12th dimension, right now we're, if you would agree or disagree, because you do that, and I like that.
Right, I do that. I would agree that there's things that we don't even know. So for us to put in, and that's where kind of I was getting at, is God's like, why do humans have to put a number and a label and something on? Why can't you just shut up, and just be? Why can't we just be? Why do we have to overanalyze everything? Why is it? Listen, we don't have all the answers right now, but we are getting those answers. They are coming to us as we raise in this escalator of light. We got to climb up to there because we can't access everything right now. Some of us can, not all of us can, but a lot of us are just anticipating and really going on assumption and all these grandeur things. But I just really like to believe that God is, or Creator is love.
Yeah.
Love and light.
When I was just talking about the 12th dimensional person, we're in the 4th dimension now. Is that what you understand? I think we're little.
Okay, so from what I understand and from what I've known, because that's another thing that I've asked is like, where are we? What's going on? Where are we? And God says that we're moving along just swell. And things are moving along accordingly, and that we don't really need to know exactly where, in what point, in what degree of what dimension we are in. I do believe that we are probably, as a planet, I believe that we're closer into moving into like the 5th dimension. But planetary, we are in 4th dimension now, but we're moving closer into the 5th dimension. And there's a lot of us that are vibrating in higher of that, just anchoring those higher energies.
Well, that's what I was understanding too, that the 5th dimension, there were actually, we don't all exist in one dimension. We overlap.
No.
Like Einstein and Leonardo da Vinci and Kevin, who works at the gas station, just not too far from me, are all fifth dimension beings. Like very brilliant.
It's like a collage. It's like when you when you get a collage, you over. It's just and it's all fragments. We're all these different type of fragmented energetic imprints. Not fragmented energies. We're fractals of light.
Mm-hmm. Which is
have you ever noticed
God's image? Yeah. Have I ever noticed what?
Have you ever noticed when you are in that perfect degree of light and on your phone where you catch those fractals of light and if you look at different ones have different energetic imprints. There's some that look like spider webs, or there's some that look like just like rainbow shards. There's if you looked at that, like I have a couple pictures after I did ayahuasca where my wings show, and now when I'm on camera sometimes they show. It's cool. We're just these energetic imprints and vibrating all at all these different levels, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's it's
like really exciting, man. I'm
You're still giddy. You're still giddy about this whole brivation thing.
Dude, I'm totally stoked because, like, how fortunate are we and lucky? Look at all the things that we have lived through in our lifetime. And on top of that, an ascension process. I think people had anticipated the ascension to happen a lot quicker, like boom, boom, boom. But no, I mean, we're just, I guess, so conditioned for instant gratification that's not the case.
Yeah. But we love instant gratification.
We do.
Yeah, we do. It's
some more than others.
Yeah. Yeah. And me most of the time. But I'm getting better, and I'm riding that inner tube. I'm drifting. I'm just letting life take me where it goes right now, and without worrying about what's coming around the corner, without worrying about that stick about to pop the inner tube or hit a rock, I completely forget it, and I'm drifting, and life is unfolding in front of me, and I'm not. And everything is good that's coming. It's not I'm making a plan to go to see something. It's just it's just coming at me.
No, it's coming super fast. And I think we talked about this.
Yeah.
It's coming super they're telling me that you just don't know how fast it's coming, and I think that they want to light the match under you, kind of like, hey, get it together. It's time to really just honor that self-care and let go. Listen, I don't know how old you are, but I'm guessing you're, decent age somewhere, and I think that you realize that all of this overanalyzing and everything and shoulda, woulda, coulda, it hasn't done anything for you. So the things from the past, they're not serving you today. Nothing in your past is serving you today. So what are you doing wallowing in it? What are you doing festering in it? What are you doing, being stuck in that? Not doing anything. It's setting you back.
I've taken that. It's like that old movie where the guy tears the rearview mirror off the Ferrari. I've done that. What's behind me no longer matters.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like my whole new saying that I have is, look, you need to either step up or step out, because I'm not stepping down for anybody. I'm here. I'm doing it.
I'm totally attracting people of a higher vibration to me. My peer group has expanded to very high vibration people. I can look at a photograph.
Even though they're high vibration, but we got to look at that. Even though there's high vibration, I've been noticing lately that I've been noticing some really kind of sad things, that some of the people that I thought for me were people that I looked up to or people that I thought were a mentor potential for me, I'm like, wow, these people are, it kind of feels like the priorities are a little bit mixed up. And it kind of feels like maybe they're a little bit too into their divinity where it's not quite divinity. I'm starting to notice that it's like I don't want to say false prophets, but in a sense, yeah.
It's ego.
They're showing. It's coming out there. Yeah, I'm seeing some. I was seeing some stuff on my Facebook about some other workers and stuff. And
Viviana,
yeah,
we got to take another break.
Okay.
So everyone can go powder their nose. We'll see you in about 7 minutes. Right after Dave talks to us.
Hi there, this is Dave Scott, and I would like to invite you to listen Monday through Friday right here on Spaced Out Radio. 3 hours a night of the top stories with the top guests, ranging topics from UFOs to ETs, ghosts to Sasquatch, and everything in between. We are live every night, 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern. So come on in and take a listen at spacedoutradio.com. Spaced Out Radio will take you out of this world.
Hi there, this is your psychic medium Joanna, and I would love it if you would join us every other Sunday on Spaced Out Weekend. With host James Tyson, we'll bring you personal psychic messages on 2 mediums and a large. Questions about love, life, career changes. We would love it if you would come and join us live. Call in and listen in for the experience. Allow us to open the doors to your other side. 2 mediums and a large, heard only on Spaced Out Weekend at spacedoutradio.com.
Attention Spaced Out Radio listeners. For only $5 a month, you can join Spaced Out Radio Space Travelers. Your membership at spacedoutradio.com will give you access to private fan area on the website, get you a monthly newsletter, draws for monthly swag, and a whole lot more. Sign up today to become a part of the Spaced Out Radio experience.
From coast to coast to coast, Blacklight Uncharted is taking on the paranormal across Canada. From ghostly hauntings to the UFOs flying above in conjunction with MUFON Canada, we're closely investigating what's going on in the northern skies and checking out the apparitions that walk among us. Check out our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com. We want to know your thoughts, we want to hear your experiences, and we want you to share your stories. The answers are out there, and we intend to find them.
This is Eric Markham, news editor for the Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter Online. We have put together a great team of writers and journalists from all over the world to bring you top-quality paranormal stories. From alien encounters to the latest conspiracies, you won't find any of that fake news here. True stories and top-notch reporting as we look to bring these experiences to the mainstream. The Encounter Online, only at spacedoutradio.com.
For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. With their money-back guarantee and the many benefits, how can you afford not to get one? Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com for mind, body, and spirit, and expect a miracle.
Patrolling the Pacific Northwest, we are always on the lookout for the strange and unassuming stories that real people are experiencing. Hi, I'm Vincent Zunza from Pacific North Weird. Me and Alexandra Sullivan have teamed to bring to you those odd stories that never seem to make it into the mainstream. Stories so weird that will leave you scratching your head wondering, is this real? It's as real as it gets with Pacific North Weird. You can watch our videos right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Have you had an experience you can't explain? Had a run-in with ghosts, maybe Bigfoot, or seen lights in the sky? Hi, I'm Mike Schmidt from the SOR Sightlines. I'm here to investigate your sighting. Head to spacedoutradio.com and fill out a report on the Sightlines. All your information is 100% confidential, and I will help you figure out what you've been seeing. File your report, and let's find out the answers together.
The third Monday of every month, Spaced Out Radio is going to bring you a different look at everything paranormal. Welcome to The Reporters. Jim Mallard, Vanessa Hogel, Denise Garcia, and Christina George join me, Dave Scott, for a look at the weird and strange from the other side of the microphone. We'll break down ghosts, UFOs, cryptids, and the people investigating them. The paranormal media has never been heard like this. Come listen to The Reporters.
Hey everybody, this is Patrick Webster Small, and I'm here to bring you the Webster Phenomena every Saturday night, live at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. If you're looking for aliens and extraterrestrials, well, we've got them. Big and tall, short and small, you're bound to find what you're looking for, so join me on the Webster Phenomena right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Hi there, this is Jolene with Reveal Reiki and Readings, and I want you to relax. Let me help you chill out and get in touch with your body, mind, and soul. In this busy world, sometimes we need to let go, and this is where I can help. Visit my website, rivuletrndr.wix.com/rivuletrndr, or my Facebook page, Rivulet R&R, to set up an appointment for relaxation, Reiki, or readings, no matter where you are. It's time for you to make time for you.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Tonight's edition of Spaced Out Weekend is brought to you by spacedoutradio.com, where you can now sign up to become a Space Traveler member. Now, for the final time tonight, here's Spaced Out Weekend's James Tyson.
Thank you, Dave Scott. How the dickens are you, David? We had a question coming in from one of the chat rooms. How does one know the different levels of beings and dimensional levels, dimensional-wise? We've kind of answered that, but it's an extremely broad question. What do you think, Viv, that how can we break that down to keep the answer under an hour?
Well, keep it under a couple minutes. There is so much stuff going on that we cannot grasp the level from what I'm getting, and my intuition is telling me that we cannot possibly grasp half of the stuff that's going on and around us that we can't see, we can't hear, we can't touch, we can't feel, and simultaneously going on around us. And as far as dimension, there used to be the saying when I was in high school, better living through chemistry? That's like, there's so many different levels of dimensions, but who really knows? I mean, there's people that go on these vision quests and they still don't know all the answers. So I think that we all have our own way of interpreting and understanding and articulating and resonating with these things that I just think that it's an individual journey.
So yeah, it's basically
some people get to the higher dimensions quicker because of the less resistance, and also, quite honestly, it takes a lot of discipline to be a really good meditator. It takes years and years and years and years and years and years of discipline. And doing it and training and learning different breathings and stuff like that. I mean, it's a long time. My parents taught me how to meditate. I think I was like 4 or 5 years old, where we sit together and meditate. And I'm 42 now, and I'm not anywhere near close to being a meditation expert. I mean, I just do what feels right and what's my groove.
Yeah. How do we, when you had your 12th dimensional light being come, you only knew it was 12th dimensional because she said 12th dimensional.
Right.
Yeah. So
absolutely. Or that is what, so it's like the Bible and any other channeled information. There's just so much information that comes through in so many different ways that we can't grasp all of it, and a lot of that is really hard to put into words or into explanation or to even articulate. Just like in other languages, you can't articulate phrases precisely. So I think with the dimensional and with what happens in other realms and whatnot, it's through what we can perceive and what we can rectify in our own minds. There is no right, there is no wrong. That's just your truth. And my truth tells me that no channel is 100%. And I'm telling you that. There's no way. There's no way. But I'll tell you, like, when I do my predictions and I do my readings that are accurate, that I don't do it. God has given me the foresight to see things from an aerial kind of helicopter GPS view.
Okay. What do you think's going to happen to us as a race of energy with these meat coats on, walking around? Are we kind of set in a constant state of redeveloping ourselves to continue to evolve?
Younger.
We're getting younger?
Yeah, we are getting younger. We are changing. Our body is changing. Our energetic level, our DNA, our DNA is changing. Our templates everything's changing. Everything is changing as we know it. The energies are shifting. There's just so much coming on. We're getting new bodies. We need to get new bodies because the old paradigm is breaking down right now. The paradigm that we once knew of, like life as we knew it, is it's crumbling. And life as we knew it is crumbling, but not for us to be devastated and destitute. God doesn't want that for us. Who would want that for? No, it's not for that. It's to break away from all that and connect with your own divinity and your own sovereignty and doing what you want to do and living the whole life that you want to do, and we're shifting from that self person that's self-centered, and we're moving out of just being focused on ourselves and self-absorbed into helping others and coming together as a community, as humanity. Yeah. Things are changing. We are changing. I believe as we move up into higher and higher and higher and higher levels of light, I feel like we were going to get younger. Our bodies will get changing. In the last 8 months, I've dropped like 45 pounds, not even really freaking trying. I've just been transmuting a lot of light, drinking a lot of water, communing with nature a lot, and really going within and loving myself. All the things that I would turn to don't fill me anymore. Oh. Because I'm filling myself. Yeah. And I mean by ways of like, we all have hang-ups on our looks or this or that, and some more than others. And so the things that bothered me before, they're less, and they're getting more. And it's like they're vanishing more and more every day.
Wow. I am wondering, as a working medium and a working psychic, And again, a psychic is that person who can kind of dip into what is coming, and the medium is the kind of that conduit for whoever wants to come in and pass a message on to their client.
So are we asking? Are we wanting? So do we want like? Are you asking me something from like a helicopter view sort of thing, or are you asking me prediction? Because
the prediction that would be you putting your psychic tinfoil hat on, wouldn't it? That would be the psychic side.
I don't know that I do predictions, or I think that's such a plain word.
If you see something that hasn't occurred yet and believe it's going to occur, would that be predicting it?
Well, yeah, because you know what? Let me be honest with you. Is that a year and a half ago, when the whole election and all that stuff was moving, I didn't see him going into office. I didn't see anybody going into office. I saw everything breaking down before that point. But there's been things that happen. There's been delays, so I guess things have shifted. But there's been all kinds of information coming through with what Trump is and who Trump is and this and that and what's going on. You know, I'm not a political person. I'm a spiritual person. I don't really follow politics. But let's just say that it needed to happen in order for these changes to take place, in order for our future to change.
Yeah,
and for us to change.
I don't live in your country. I don't like the guy, just from the vibe that he gives off. But he had to win. He had to be where he is. This is where he's supposed to be in this time in history. He is supposed to be in a situation where your country is polarized.
But a lot of it, what I was feeling, quite honestly, is if you think back to the election that we had, and I kept telling people, I'm like, why are you watching this crap? Like, seriously, like, what is wrong with you? Oh, you know, this is our country and the State of the Union and and this and that, and this is our future. Listen, they've conditioned us for this moment. They've prepared us for this moment. Years and years and years and years and years of reality TV. They force-fed us reality TV for 10, 15 years. Force-fed us, okay? And then we see what's happening on the election. It's like, come on. Are you kidding? How embarrassing. I'm embarrassed for my own country. Because, you know, it's just really, quite frankly, it's turned into a distraction. And the more that we follow along with it, the more they're going to feel that they're in control.
And that's where we on Earth have to be at this time. It's going to happen in Europe. It's already happened in Turkey. The guy ran and said, I'm going to be a dictator. You want to vote for me? Oh, okay. It's like, what? What are you doing? The crazy lady in France, the crazy lady in Australia.
Everybody's losing their minds.
Yeah,
but where I live, I came from I'm kind of a liberal type of person, anyways. Not on a political standpoint. I'm just very free spirited and just do whatever.
Yeah.
But where we ended up moving to is it's Trump country. There's like NRA signs and stuff like that. So it was scary for me because I'm like, they don't really like my kind were up here. And I was kind of afraid that, like, one day I'm going to come out in my front yard and there's going to be, you know, something going down. Because I'm unconventional. I'm not the right-wing thing. So me moving up here, I was kind of worried for myself. But it's been good. It's been good. The people have been great. I haven't really experienced anything negative. And quite frankly, I feel like people are opening up more to people of my kind.
Oh, okay.
Don't you think? Don't you think people are warming up to paranormal and the esoteric and all that?
Yeah, but that's because it's, and we've talked about this on the show, I think it's not that we're warming up. It's like someone saying, well, haven't you noticed the increase in UFO reports? Well, I don't think there's an increase in UFOs. It's just that people who have not wanted to say it out loud to their friends are now saying it out loud because it's easy. Same with psychics. Yeah. Oh, I wouldn't go to a psychic. They're all gypsies and they want to rip you off. Now that it's more mainstream.
Yeah, more mainstream.
Ghost hunting, for God's sake. Since the veil has thinned, somebody with a digital recorder can stand in the middle of a soccer field or a football field and eventually get a voice on it.
Right. They were doing that with Paul Walker. They were at his gravesite with one of those little EVPs, those little readers. Yeah, they were sitting out there. I'm like, really?
Yeah, if you're a ghost, why would you be hanging out with dead people? But we can speak to the ones that haven't crossed over. So, and my paranormal group actually moves them over. And we have
I transition
psychics.
People too.
Yeah.
Oh, so you transition them into the light?
Yeah, we're one of those hated paranormal groups because we can go to we'll go to a place, clean it out, and then all the other people show up with their recorders and their camera equipment and go, "There's nothing here."
Where'd the party go? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Sucks
you know what?
you.
I really thank you. Thank you for not being one of those people that. You know what really bothers me is that when they take that disrespectful approach towards the spirit, and then they're kind of like, I don't know, like I kind of want to say that they come at them with a condescending kind of demeanor, and then you bug them, and then you don't want to set them free or send them into the light, or maybe you don't want to listen to the acknowledgement that they want from you. And what they have to say or whatnot or whatever. Or maybe my parents, when they used to transmute pit bosses of the dark overlords.
What? Okay, just sounded funny.
Yeah. No, yeah, so when I was a kid, and I'd go to church with my parents, to the occult thing, I was like, 5, 6 years old. I'd have to sit on and watch, and I was kind of boring. And I'd see some things that was kind of, wow, mind blowing. My mom was a phenomenal trans-channel medium. Phenomenal. The woman is, wow. And I would see her face contort and just all this crazy stuff happen. And for a child, that was very impressionable. So, there would be these meetings that they would have where they would have different mediums come up and stand up on the platform, or they would sit in a chair on the platform, and then the director, which would be like the minister, they would all, first of all, meditate and get where they're in that level, and the director would oversee and facilitate. And the mediums that were up on the platform would canalize the energy of a dark overlord or a pit boss of whatever. That's what they would refer to it, is like a mafia boss. So each, like the dark realm. Let's for instance, murder, drug addiction. All these horrible things or sins or whatever you want to call them, they all have a dark energy that oversees it, that is like the boss of this. So they would channel and transmute into the light these dark entities, and it would scare the bejesus out of me. I'm like a little kid, and I'm seeing my mom's face like contort, and her voice would drop a couple registers, and And then my dad, who was the director, both my parents were directors of the church, and they were both extremely gifted. My dad would be facilitating, and he'd be transmuting that and sending that entity into the demon into the light by, you do it with love. Mm-hmm. You send them love. You open up your heart, or you talk to them in a loving way. You show them compassion, and you convince them that going into the light is, it's welcoming and it's loving. And so my parents would do that. And watching that, it's just my whole life makes sense right now. I'm like looking back, like, holy cow, like down to the T, everything connects.
Yeah, it is what is supposed to happen. You're supposed to help, and by loving and putting good energy in with things. When I do paranormal investigations, I'm running into some really dark, and I don't mean demons, but people who've done some really bad things that I don't want to cross. Right. We don't argue with them. It's not like a TV show where you're antagonizing someone who's antagonizing you back.
Absolutely.
That's stupid.
Absolutely. And something that I've learned throughout my career, the best way to deal with these certain types of things is to be the escort and escort them to Archangel Azrael, who deals with transitions, and he's the death angel, and he's the one that's perfectly fit for that job. I don't mess with it. I just lead them right to Azrael and let him deal with it.
Okay. We have some real challenges we have to do where very, very nasty people aren't crossing over, and they're holding children back with them. And these are above my pay scale as a paranormal investigator, but luckily enough, we have people who can do remote viewing and help and actually have
that's awesome.
A communication with them, and it's wonderful. Before you came on, that's what I was talking to the listener about, the use of a psychic Skeeter Wellhouse in Washington State, who we go through the house before we actually go to the house. We get the names of the spirits that are there, why they're there. In one case, we crossed one over before we even attended, and he was cleared out before, and the clients noticed it before we actually went and did the investigation. So imagine going to a paranormal investigation and not having to go through all these silly steps to try to identify what is there and why. When you can do that,
I respect those that do that work. Been there, done that, bought the T-shirt, and I'm good. I'm good for my own personal experience. That it was. I've worked on some a couple murder cases, and I don't like being tormented. Like where the spirit of the girl that's desperately wanting to be found is literally stalking me to death, and not give but that was really young in my thing where I didn't really have any boundaries, and now I'm like, I have no problem teaching you my boundaries. And so it was really difficult and really consuming, but I started having health problems when I worked with that type of energy. Like I was getting sick. And I think maybe I just wasn't prepared for that sort of thing at that time to do, I don't know, but I just remember that I felt like the energies would try to possess me. And one of the energies in one particular case that I worked on, this guy flipped out and killed this girl, and she was missing. And she was showing me the whole thing, everything that happened. And when I got to my parents' house, because I was living here and they were living in Sacramento, so it was like a 7-hour drive, and I was getting visions of everything that was happening in the course of this girl missing. And I was working in television, so the last thing I was doing was going home. I disconnected from TV, period, when I worked in TV. And I went to go see my parents, and when I got to my mom's house, my mom and dad's, I was telling them, this girl, this spirit was coming to me. I don't know what she wants, and it's in San Luis. And I was telling them everything she was telling me and showing me. And my dad says, you can't just hold on to that information. You got to do something about that. You got to call the cops. And I think I was like 21. And I was so scared, so I called the cops, and I said, okay, I got some information, and I told them what was going on. And they're like, well, how do you know? And they pulled a background on me to see if I was somehow tied into what went down. And I ended up working on that case for a while, and actually a lot of the stuff, like, they were blown away. They're like, how do you know this? None of this information was released, and it was like what she was wearing. And then when they found some of the clues that had led to certain things, it was just too much energetically. It was too much emotionally. It was tormenting. So I say big ups to those that do it and are good at it and that are helping, because that's just, I can't even imagine. I just can't imagine my life being there, especially having a child.
Oh, yeah. And that's what, even as a policeman, when I was attending my first few years on the job, I was in uniform, and a couple of those jobs was in rural area where I have to attend car accidents.
Right.
And there'd be children dead. And
right.
I didn't have kids. So when I got there, you treated it like a big puzzle. You're very busy, very busy, putting stuff and organizing things. And I always taught people, if they had nothing to do at the car accident, you don't go up to it. You turn your back on it, park down the street, direct traffic around it. Because if you're not busy in your mind, then you'll take stuff home with you. Well, as soon as I had kids, there's no way I was going to work in uniform going to car accidents anymore. In fact, I turned down a job in a serious crime unit, which it was a homicide unit, and I was talking to the sergeant involved in it, and at the time we had a lot of gang killings, and he said, "You got to remember, gang killings are making the papers right now and things like that, but you still have to attend shaken babies, sexual assaults that ended up in a death." And children being murdered, the elderly. Right. It's like, okay, no, I don't want to do that.
And even the stuff that has like no rhyme or reason, that you're just like, how could somebody be such a sick person to, and just that. One thing that had happened recently that has affected my family was a very dear, close friend of ours, and that was in law enforcement, just got sentenced for child molestation.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like, I couldn't do anything. I don't know that I could work in that context of just being a mother, being half Sicilian, and having, I don't know. I would have to take the law into my own hands. I would, even if it's a spirit that's tormenting my child, oh, hell no.
Yeah. As a sensitive, as an intuitive, a psychic, with all the clairs.
Me too.
Yeah. Do you look at the offender in that? We'll use that one because you know the person. You look at that offender, and can you tell why?
So this particular person that I was devastated. Our family was devastated because I've known him since I was a really little child, and he was very close with the family. And never in a million zillion years would it even enter my mind. But in the event when it started coming out, I'll tell you what, and you can even investigate this yourself on my Facebook. I was the first person that came right out, and I wrote a post about it saying that, you know what, we don't know all the things yet. Let's not start crucifying people. Let's gather all the stuff. And you know what? Regardless of what is in question, I, even to this point, have always remembered him as an upstanding man, a phenomenal man. Now, whatever happened behind the closed doors that I am not aware of, I mean, I can't judge him because that didn't happen to me. It didn't affect me. And I'm sorry that happened, but I don't know that monster there. And for me to who am I? You know what I'm saying? And that's a horrible, terrible thing. But you know what? We're all of us human beings. We all have good. We all have bad. And we don't know what other people have gone through and transpired through, and what has traumatized them to the effect that make them do these things.
So
you know,
you didn't actually ask your angels why he was doing that.
No, because I'm going to be honest with you. I think that when it comes to this particular thing, because it was so close, I don't really honestly think that I could separate myself to see this in a completely 100% neutral way.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering
if that would give you... I'm just being honest.
Yeah. I understand. I just was wondering if it would give you closure or just open a whole other door.
It might open another door, but the fact of the matter is, regardless of what his family feels about him and what has transpired, he never did anything to me. And you know what? I was even thinking about it. I think I'm going to write him a letter when he's in jail, because why are all these other people saying what a disgusting this and this and this? Okay, yes, I get it. I'm a mother and all of that. But you know what? He is a human being. And not only that, something may have happened to him that nobody knows about.
Well,
because all trauma stems from trauma. All trauma stems from trauma.
That was the thing that started a big debate one of my criminology classes when I was in college, university. The professor said if you were to find a victim of a molestation, a young boy comes and says, I was molested. And I know a lot of people are going to you've got to wait till I finish this entire.
Yeah. No, and you know what? You've got to have an open mind and let him finish what he needs to say. So
yeah. So this was what the the teacher puts out there. What do you do? What should we do? Victims beget victims. A lot of the crimes are caused by people who are victims themselves. So how do we stop? What should we do to this young child? And I said, we'd have to execute him. And everybody looked at me like, what are you talking about? Which then stemmed the debate. Which basically, because at the time, psychological help wasn't given to the victims. All the effort was put into the, bringing the family down off the wall. The victim themselves was, people gathered around them and they were held in a circle, but nobody psychologically helped the child. So if you're going to...
Oh, and I love where you're going with this.
Yeah, so it would stop...
I really love...
It would stop that child from becoming a predator. So,
yes and no.
Yeah, but what it did is it spurred debate on the psychological help for the victim, and not putting so much effort in or dividing energy up between going after the bad guy, but treating the victim as a victim and helping that victim through their life.
Well, okay.
And that goes up into psychological help in their teens and offering it to them basically free forever.
I kind of like maybe some of the stuff you're saying, but maybe the words weren't the right connotation, because I don't like to support victimhood mentality, and I don't like to support that sort of thing, because I think that every time that something happens to you, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for growth, expansion, new awarenesses, it's new stuff. If we're stuck in this victimhood mentality, oh, I didn't get the job, and we're victims a victim of those circumstances, and those things happen for you to be a victor through it. So I don't like to empower victimhood mentality, but I can tell you what you can do is treat the trauma. And the trauma is always in the inner child. And your inner child holds all the secrets to the universe. Your own inner child, and I completely 1,000,000% resonate with this, because thinking back to my childhood, shoot, my manifesting was on point up until I was in high school. And then I had to get a job and had to do this, and then I kind of, got shifted into conditioning.
Yeah.
But in the sense what you were talking about with those that have been abused and whatnot, we need to treat the person that's being abused, whether they're a child or whatever. We need to treat that.
Yeah.
Because there's the trauma. Whether it's a broken marriage and the dynamics messed up, the kids are in that scramble. Are you going to treat the parents, or are you going to treat the kids?
Yeah, you got to treat everybody.
I think you got to treat the kids, because the parents.
Oh, yeah,
a lot of times parents are so stuck in their. Sometimes people are just so stuck in their stuff, and they don't know how stuck they are, and it's like tunnel vision, and it's like arguing for the sake of arguing.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can't change somebody that doesn't want to change themselves.
Back in my day, or back when we were discussing this in school, a victim was a witness, and that was it. Oh, this happened to you? We need a statement. We need this. We need that. You have to go to court, and nobody's actually fixing the head bone where the trauma.
Right.
There's physical trauma that we can survive, but the mental trauma is embedded. And there's certain ages. If it happens before certain ages, it completely screws up your id, and off you go. So that's where this entire debate ended up. Not debate. It was the class turned.
Now, what if in the case that it's the soul that in fact is the one with all of the trauma? I've seen hundreds of clients that they come in and their soul is just beaten, battered, just hammered down, trauma, dealing with a lot of things. And the soul, because the soul kind of goes through this little recycling type of thing. It never gets fully cleaned, because I feel that we are our own ancestors. I believe that.
Oh. That's probably why my spirit guide looks like a 30,000-year-old Egyptian, because that's as far back as my DNA could be tracked. Somewhere between the Valley of the Kings and Cairo. I told you earlier
about my coat of arms. I totally don't think my coat of arms and what's happening now is by fluke. Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, tell the listener about that, because basically we have
I don't know if I want to really put that out there quite yet with the kind of things that are going on in the planet right now.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We have one of the listeners out of the East Coast of the U.S., Christopher. He is opening up his intuitive side and his coat of arms.
Well, I welcome that. So for me, in that, since we're speaking of this, so I'm my coat of arms. I'm half Sicilian. My coat of arms from my father's side dates all the way back to the very first person with my maiden last name was King Ferdinand's right hand person, and that King Ferdinand made the very first person with my last name, my ancestor, his nobleman for that. The very first person 10 generations ago. It was probably me. The very first person was the seer for King Ferdinand. And all of that did the advising.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes from, like on my dad's side. So that, and then with me and my journey, and me having this tremendous affinity with the Archangels, and then my ayahuasca and seeing what I saw and experiencing what I saw and all of that. I'm like, seriously, I'm either bat crap crazy or it's just uncanny.
Yeah.
You choose, because it my whole entire life is this, has been this tapestry. And thinking back, like I told you, I remembered this this channeling I did, and I'm blown away.
Wow.
I think I'm gonna write my book tonight, or add a couple chapters tonight.
Yeah. Just replay the interview, and then you can just have it dictated out or something. What do they call that thing? I have to ask you about something. We're talking about spirits that are kind of messed up. Now, we have a house that we have to go to, and bless her, little old lady passed away. Nice Italian lady. She didn't cross over.
Mm-mm.
And she was hanging out in one of the houses in the neighborhood, and somebody saw her, and gosh darn it, they came over and tried... Pardon?
Severe territorialism.
They tried to exorcise her because it was Roman Catholics, and they thought it was a demon they were seeing.
No.
And she's all screwed up. How do we fix her? Or are you seeing something different?
I'm seeing something different.
Okay.
It's so weird, because the imprint of the soul, I almost feel like it's a carbon copy, like there's like two prints there. It kind of feels like there's some, I like to refer to my gifts. This is how my dad explained. I gotta share this story with you. And you're like, I'm never inviting her on again, because this chick is so long-winded.
She's a little bit farty. Go ahead.
It was so brilliant. Now you made me forget.
Oh, okay. We're talking about this lady who has kind of like a twin...
Oh, okay. So this is what I'm feeling with her. Actually, quite honestly, I'm feeling that there is. It almost feels like a spiritual dementia going on. There's like a confusion of maybe two places at one, or two carbon copies in one, or maybe or twin energies, meaning maybe those were twin spirits, like sisters or something. There's like feedback there. My dad taught me when I was really little how to turn on and off my gifts. And he said, Bibi, you're a radio. You're a tuner like in the home stereo. You see, and he took me over to the stereo. You see how there's this tuner right here, Vivi? If you look over here, there's a volume. Over here, you have all the auxiliary, the phono, the cassette, all these different options. And you got this, you got stereo 1 and 2, and you got the speakers. And he was explaining all this to me, that this is who you are. You're this transistor. You're the transmitter. It's up to you whether you want to turn the station or turn the auxiliary, turn up the volume, turn it down, turn it on, turn it off. Best advice ever. because people tell me, how do you live your life doing what you do and being who you are? Well, I'll tell you what, if I was on 24 hours a day, I wouldn't be psychic, I'd be schizophrenic. Because there's just so much going on. So I'm feeling with this person is, what they're telling me is it's almost like it's a feedback, energetic feedback. There's 2 imprints on that energy there. There's 2 imprints on that energy, so I don't know if that energy, like if there were twins of that person in that, there's just, and it kind of feels like a sense of distortion. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
There's a level of distortion because of what's going on there. But I'd love to chat with you when we're not online so I can help you, give you, more guidance with that. But what I'm feeling is that there's this, you have to hit it from 2 different levels, because I feel like it almost feels like it's a carbon copy thing.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting.
The copy over the copy.
Yeah, because she not only occupies the house where our clients are, but she moves up and down the street.
No, like a couple streets.
Okay, from the neighborhood.
No. Oh yeah. She's got a couple streets, and she's even got the animals on her thing. You know what they're telling me is like she was Il Nonna. Il Nonna is the grandma. Yeah. And I'm feeling like this little tiny grandma with this big old pot, she couldn't even see the spaghetti pot, and she's stirring with the big old thing, and very territorial, a very severely territorial energy. I feel like she's been there a long time, generational perhaps, but she's telling me that this is my space. Have you guys looked into how far back the house goes?
1962. And it was all farmland before that. There was no other building. But she's probably not from that house. She's from the area.
Well, yes and no. She could have been the original occupant energetically, but then she could have came and had that house too, and that's where there is that oversensing territorialism. It's in almost in the sense like that deja vu thing. Well, she's like deja vuing that this is my stomping grounds, and this is my, very territorial.
Why doesn't she want to go to her?
What's the conflict? What's the problem?
The conflict is, and the problem is that she's scaring the bejiggers out of the people that exist in that house now.
Okay, well, she's telling me this was my house before it was their house. She reminds me of my mom.
So there's a new family there with children, a nice Italian family.
She's telling me she's the guardian of the home.
Okay.
And she's the guardian of the space. They need to change the perspective that's going on there. She doesn't bring harm. That's her stomping grounds. She's not going anywhere. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but every home and every house has a protector energy. So we don't know. Maybe her contract was to come back and protect the community. You don't know that. And you guys are trying to excommunicate the lady, and she's like, "Nah, man, this is my stomping ground."
Why? There are First Nations, or what you'd call American Indians, that walk through that area. And they actually the spirits come into the house to chase her. And they seem to be the only ones that push her out.
I'm not saying that that's not, and I don't feel that to be 100%.
Or does she just step back when they come in?
She's telling me that she's a protector. This is her space. She's not going anywhere. Her stepping back could be that because if those are the native to that land, of course she's going to step behind. I mean, it's like it's like this. It's like you get this new position at this job, and then the guy who was the head, that position for forever, on his retirement day, you're going to tell him, hello, get the heck out of here. I'm the new boss in town. You're not going to do, and the thing is, she's not doing anything in harm's way. I'll tell you what. There's farming energy in her, and she's got that, like, farming blood, so she's there more for the land.
Okay, so she's from the land. What does she say about the other little old lady in the house?
She doesn't like the way she does things in the house, for one thing.
Because
want me to tell you everything?
Yeah, of course.
She's telling me that she has a problem with the go-about dynamic of how that family is running their family. She's telling me that the children need some more attention. So I kind of feel like this is like the Il Nonna grandma that when nobody's looking, but you know damn well she's watching you, she's gonna, pop you in the cheek if she catches you doing something. I feel like that parental, protective, territorial, that whole type of energy, but I also feel like that annoying mother-in-law energy where you're never going to be good enough.
Yeah.
You're never going to be the good enough mom. You're never going to be, and that's the thing, and that's just her energetic imprint.
Yeah, and that's the problem with not crossing over and then coming back. All that judgment is still there, and it's unfortunate because it keeps that almost there's judgment which then spurs.
So what she's saying to me is, no, she's copying an attitude.
Yeah. There shouldn't be attitude.
No, but she's kind of copying an attitude, and what she's getting from me is like, nobody asked me what my reason is here and what are my intentions. And I think that what she's coming at from is like almost like a slight defensiveness. But because that is my culture, I don't see her coming across as like a jerk or like a defensive. I feel her being like, wait a minute, you don't know my side of the story. And why are you so quick to shove me out? And you're not you don't know what's up.
Okay.
I'm hearing that those kids need more like discipline. They need more energy around there. I feel like there's neglect.
Is she related to the husband?
And I don't feel how can we say this? I don't feel, but I feel.
Okay.
So it
feels they're both like, Italian, maybe. I don't know.
No, it feels like a familiar energy, but it feels like a distant familiar energy. So maybe great-grandma?
Okay. Because we're running out of time, I do have to address, there is the spirit of an 85-some-year-old lady downstairs in there who we've asked her to leave, and she said, okay, I'll think about it, and she hasn't left yet, and the family want her out because they want
to... Okay, so that's the thing is that I kind of feel like you guys maybe need to take a different approach. I kind of feel like you guys do this same approach with everybody. And you guys are all... You're like Motel 6, and the guy leave the light on for everybody, and you're dealing with everybody like it's Motel 6.
No, we even brought her a gift, if you can connect to the lady downstairs.
No, the lady...
This is not the Italian lady.
No, this is another lady, and this feels like a rival, conflicting energy, and it almost feels like a racist energy, because it's very just kind of like she's bothered by a lot of things.
Okay. Yeah, she was telling us that, oh, no, I'm a good grandmother. I like the kids. But
no,
she won't leave.
No, okay, so the energy that I'm getting is that she's just bothered by a lot of things. And sometimes when people are lonely or grumpy and they kind of fixate on things, but I'm not to say that she's that or whatever, but with the energy that I'm feeling with her is this is the crotchety old lady. And I feel like rival energy. And the energy downstairs feels like almost like a German, like, kind of like, I don't know, like Hitler lady or something. It's very
Old English.
Rigid.
Margaret, Elizabeth, and don't know her last name.
But I'm surprised it's English because it feels very rigid, like rigid.
Old English could be snooty and all that. Stiff upper lip and all.
I kind of get like this kind of lady, like an old German. I hate everybody that isn't German kind of lady.
Yeah, she's definitely.
So the energy that you're communicating, that's a spirit that you're communicating with, or somebody in the home?
No, it's a spirit downstairs. Oh.
I don't think she's a native to that. She's attached to one of the people that's reading.
Oh, really? Ew. Because we went down.
Because how did we go from Italy to this to straight? No,
the Italian lady's upstairs. The British
Right.
lady's downstairs. That's how I just asked how we'd get there.
No, I feel like the lady down. I feel like the lady downstairs is tied to one of the readers.
One of the readers.
Mm-hmm.
Must be both of them.
There's some message in there. There's an interaction there.
Okay.
I feel like it's something family-wise. So honestly, it feels like maybe somebody in their family that with that strong English thing is going through some. I kind of feel like maybe somebody's maybe on their way in their own transition, and I don't think that this was read.
It's interesting because the father that lives there, he saw this lady in his dream, scared the heck out of him, and our reader, Skeeter, actually drew a picture of her, and he saw the picture and said, yeah, that's the lady comes in my dream. I'd like her to leave. But it's that time, Viviana.
Aww.
It's that time for you to get that.
Get that.
Oh, hold on. Shut the front door. Thanks very much.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Yeah. Don't let the door hit you in the... Oh, hi, you still here? Viviana Duncan, thank you very much for dropping in, and I will have you back kicking and screaming. And for everybody else out there, please just keep an open mind.
That's it, let's roll. And hey! Let's be careful out there.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Dave's not here!
This house is clean.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile, found sometime last week, has been inspected at Roswell, New Mexico, and sent to Wright Field, Ohio, for further inspection.